Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all today?
Good.
Good. Yeah, nice.
Did you all enjoy the Freecycle and Create and Gift downstairs?
Oh, my new wardrobe.
I'm so glad to see you all here for today's GIC Talk. I'm Jeremy Azurin, and I'm an intern here for the GIC Talk team. Before we start, please either turn off your cell phones or switch them to silent mode. Also, before we further move into our talk, I would like to briefly inform you about one of the GIC's current projects. The GIC has been engaged in a campaign to raise awareness about recycling. Thus, we would like to ask you to consider using a reusable mug or other container for your drinks instead of using a disposable or plastic cup. Moreover, please separate your garbage and use the recycling bins at the entrance of the building. Now, shall we all move on to today's talk?
Okay. Yeah. Freecycle.
Today, we have two speakers, Lianne Bronzo and Adam Greenberg of the United States. They're going to give us a talk entitled Enhancing Community Through Gifting. They are the organizers of the Freecycle and Create and Gift, two local organizations that were recently founded to promote a gifting community here in Gwangju and around the world. Are you ready to meet today's speaker?
Yeah.
Let's please welcome our first speaker, Lianne Bronzo, with a great round of applause.
Hello everyone!
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming. Were you able to enjoy the Freecycle event downstairs?
Yes.
Did you get some new things? I got this new coat here. Yes, I think it's a great way to meet new people. I think the community came together and it's been a really great event, so thank you so much for the GIC for hosting it. It's working.
Oh. Can you?
I'll just introduce myself. My name is Lianne. I'm from the States. I was born in Korea, but I grew up in America. I came to Korea in August of 2012. So I've been here for a year and a half, teaching English in public elementary schools. Okay, works. Thank you. Batteries. Alright, so today we're going to talk about ways you could enhance the community and your personal experience for free. And we'll do that through Gwangju Freecycle. I'll talk about free hospitality, and Adam will talk about free arts with Create and Gift. Right, so what do I mean by gifting? Gifting is, as opposed to exchanging goods for money, with money for items and services, you just gift it for free without any means of exchange or that kind of transaction. So gifting happens every day in families and friends, but not so much with strangers. So we're trying to promote that, and it makes the community tighter. So if everyone is active in the gifting community, you'll be rewarded somehow back in the future. So therefore, gifting communities rely on strong relationships and trust. Right, so we'll talk about Freecycle first. So in Korea, expats come and go so often, maybe for a year or two to teach English or study abroad, and we come with maybe 2 or 3 suitcases. But a year later, we end up with a furnished apartment. We have so many things that what are we going to do with it when we leave? So one option is to sell it. So we have a Facebook page called the Gwangju Jello Flea Market. So people can post things that they don't need anymore and sell it for a cheap price. And someone else who needs it can buy it, which is cheaper than going to the store. So I think it's very helpful. But some things are not quite worth selling on the page. Maybe a half-used bottle of shampoo worth 1,000 won or some forks, but they're perfectly good. But some people might not want to bother putting it on the site. This was just a joke that someone put up there a few months ago. It says, partially used toothbrush, minty condition, 10,000 won or best offer. So that was just kind of a joke. So what do people do with the things they can't sell or they don't want anymore when they leave? A lot of it just goes in the trash. So this just adds to the pile of the problems that we're having. So actually, back in August, my neighbors were leaving, and they had many things they wanted to get rid of before they went to New Zealand. So they opened up their apartment for the neighbors to come and take some free things. So I found it so helpful, and they thanked me so much for taking this off their hands, and I was so thankful for getting these items that I use. I still use the conditioner that they gave me. So I wanted other people to experience this kind of exchange, so I started the Gwangju Freecycle page back in 1 month ago, or 2 months ago. So this logo is created by Megan Cox. She's a graphic designer, and in the spirit of Freecycle, she made this for free, so it's a really nice design. So the aims of Freecycle is 1, to strengthen the community through generosity and gifting, and to reduce waste through reuse and recycling. So how does it work? It's pretty simple, just like the flea market page. You just post on the Facebook group of things that you want to get rid of and for free, and then someone can post a comment, and then you message each other and meet up for that exchange. So these are some things that were gifted in just the past 2 months. So Tiffany, my friend, she wanted a juicer, and Liz happened to have one that she didn't use anymore. So they met up and gave it for free, and they also got to hang out and do some rock climbing. Someone put up some books, a perfectly good iron. Someone was generous enough to put a fridge for free, and a nice guitar. So every day, things are being gifted. So I did not come up with this idea alone. Freecycle.org is actually a worldwide network that was created in 2003 in Arizona by Jerome Beal. So it first started with just 40 people that were gifting things to each other, and eventually it reached over 85 countries, 9 million members as well. So the statistics on the website says about 3,200 items are gifted every day. So that amounts to 500 tons of things being kept out of landfills every day. So if you want to visualize that, in 1 year, if you take Mount Everest, the tallest mountain, and you pile garbage trucks full of things on top of each other, it'll be as tall as Mount Everest in 1 year. So that's how much is saved from the environment just by gifting to strangers and gifting and sharing. Right, so what are the benefits of Freecycle? So I think it could benefit individual, the community, and the environment as well. So it's convenient to go and easy to just go to the store and buy something, but there's kind of not a lot of meaning in that transaction. It's just to exchange money for goods. But when you're giving something away for free, there's a lot of generosity and a lot of gratitude that you exchange. Right? And so you don't have to always give something, you could also share. So an example from Charles Eisenstein, he's a prominent author in the gifting economy field. This is for the lawnmower. So if a lawnmower is used maybe 1 or 2 hours a week, and the rest of the time it's just collecting dust in the garage. So if every household has a lawnmower, it's just kind of a waste. So to make it more efficient is to have one tool shed for the lawnmower and other garden tools that can be shared among a few houses in a neighborhood. So not only does it maximize the efficiency of these tools, but it also makes the community come closer. Because I know nowadays a lot of people don't even know their neighbors, so this is also a good way to share and create community within the neighborhood. But in Gwangju, most of us don't need a lawnmower unless you're really, really rich. So other things that we can share in Gwangju are books. So for me, once I read a book, I probably won't read it again, but I might want to keep it, so I don't mind giving it to someone else to use while I'm not using it. And also camping equipment. I love to go camping, but I don't do it every day. So if someone wants to go just once, you can let them borrow a tent or a sleeping bag so they don't have to go out and buy a whole new one. And then also a car. So I imagine it's kind of a pain if you're an expat living here for only 1 year to purchase a car. but if expats could share cars once in a while, if they need to go make a grocery run or they need to transport a couch, I think it could be very helpful if we could share something like that. Right, and it's not only for materials, Freecycle is also sharing services. So this is at the Burning Man Festival. It's a big festival that happens, and it's based on a gifting economy. There's no money transactions, so people just share things with each other. So this girl is fixing a bike. You can also share art and create art together. And giving haircuts. So if everyone in the community, someone's good at giving haircuts, they could do that in exchange. They could get a massage or something. You could all share with each other. And last thing about Freecycle is you can network through it. So through my Freecycle transactions, I met up with people and I made friends from all around the world, from Peru and Korean and Dominican Republic. So, and I still see them around Gwangju and I can say hi, and it's really a nice way to make the community closer and meet new people. Right, so in conclusion, I'm not suggesting that you do away with money completely. I just think maybe you can reevaluate your belongings and see what you really do use on a day-to-day basis, and see if someone else would be able to make better use of it and consider giving it away for free and sharing with others. Alright, so now I want to talk about my favorite subject, which is travel. So this is the Gwangju International Center, people from around the world, and many people here are interested in foreign countries. So what are some reasons that you travel? Anyone?
New experience.
Yes, new experiences. Anything else? Why do you like, if you like to travel, what are some reasons?
Practice language.
Yeah, language.
Meet new people.
Meet new people. Anything else?
Jobs.
Taking pictures.
Taking pictures. In the Great Wall of China.
New perspectives.
Taking new perspectives. Good. Yeah, so some common answers are to relax on the beach and, take away the stresses from work, try new food, experience and learn about new cultures, learn new languages, meet new people, and get a new perspective. So there are ways that you can enhance those experiences for free. So when you're traveling, you do need to sleep and you need a place to stay. So it's very convenient to just go to a hotel or a motel. You get privacy and things like that. But sometimes they lack character, and a lot of times you're left on your own. So you have to rely on a guidebook or internet research to see what kinds of things you can do. And it's also it can be expensive. So in America, a motel could be $60 on average, but you can stay for free at a unique house or someone's personal house. So how can you do that? So there's different websites for free hospitality. This one is Couchsurfing. This one is Be Welcome and Hospitality Club. So does anyone have experiences with these websites? Anna and Ron? So I will talk about Couchsurfing, where that's most of my experience. So what is Couchsurfing? Couchsurfing is a worldwide network that connects travelers together. So a couch surfer is someone who stays at a house of a host in lieu of a hotel. So sometimes you sleep on the couch, but most of the time, you actually sleep in an extra room on the bed or sometimes on the floor. Every situation is different. So how does it work? You make your profile, kind of like a Facebook profile, and then you can type in the country or city you want to visit, and a list will come up of all the places you can stay. You can read the profiles, and if someone stands out to you, they sound really interesting, you have many similar interests, you can go to their profile and send them a personal request. So this is what a profile might look like. You must read them very thoroughly, too. It's very important. And the request, you'll say when you're arriving, when you leave, how many people will stay there. You talk a little bit about your trip, what you want to do in that city. And then you have to, here is when you say why you want to stay with this particular person. So for example, I see that you like riding bikes and hiking. Maybe we could do that together. I share that interest, things like that. All right. So if they accept you, then you arrange a time to meet, and then you can stay at their house for free. So what are some benefits of couchsurfing? So one of them, I'll tell you about some of my personal experiences with this. So you can visit places that are not in the guidebooks. So for example, in Gwangju, China, our couchsurfing host took us to an art studio where he's a student, an art student, so we got to see many of the amazing works, and I would have never went there if it wasn't for him hosting me. He also took us to this Taoist temple in the middle of this industrial area, and I would have never known about this if it wasn't for our host. It was really a beautiful place. And our other host took us on the top of this apartment building, and he snuck us in, and we got to see an amazing view of the city. So couchsurfing is great because the host has the best local advice. They know their city so well, and they can give you better recommendations than maybe a guidebook. And also you can make and eat local food together with your host. So I stayed in Mongolia with the family, and this girl, her and her family were teaching me how to make Mongolian cheese from the cows that they have out in the front. We also made some Mongolian bread, and that's their final product. It was very delicious. And this is the couchsurfing girl I hosted from Switzerland. So this is in my apartment. She made us pumpkin soup and vegetable bread. So we were able to exchange culture through that. Right? And also through couchsurfing, you can make new friends. So these are some friends I made from Australia. But I did a road trip, and the couchsurfers stayed with me for 1 month in my car together. These are my friends in San Antonio. They took us to one of the best places where you can get breakfast in that city. These are people I met in Mongolia through couchsurfing. So we went camping together and visited Lake Hosgol. And this is the couchsurfing hosts in China. They took us all around to these places to try the local street food. So this one here is durian ice cream. So it was kind of interesting. Yeah, we had pig's feet and pig's blood, chicken feet, interesting things. But I would have never known if it wasn't for them. So it was a good way to learn about the culture. And now I have friends all over the world. And you can learn a new skill through couchsurfing as well. So a lot of my hosts or my surfers, I ask them to write my name in many languages. So I have Arabic, Chinese, Georgian, and Mongolian. And I stayed at a girl's house in Fort Collins, Colorado, and they taught us how to brew beer. We didn't get to try the products. It takes a few weeks. This is Mongolia in front of their ger. The little girls, they were 6 and 7 years old, and one of their jobs was to take cow poop and let it dry. So I had to do it with my hands and touch it, and it was a very new experience. So they take this and they burn it inside their yurt for warmth and for cooking. Right, and you can also learn about the culture and lifestyle of the locals. So this is the 14-year-old in the family in Mongolia. He played for me the horse-headed fiddle, which is a very important and traditional instrument. And this is also Mongolia. She taught me a few games out of these are sheep ankle bones, and there's many things that they play with those bones. And this is the baby cows and the girl. Her duty is to fetch the cows every day, so I was able to help her with her daily chores. And I lived in there for a few days, their house. Right, so a lot of the first reactions of couchsurfing is, isn't it dangerous? You have to stay at someone's house, you never met them before. Well, yes, you should always exercise caution. You should read profiles thoroughly. Make sure they have references. So there are some security measures embedded in the system. So one of them is references. So kind of like eBay feedback. Other surfers and hosts in the past write something about their experience to say if it was good or bad. There's also vouching. So people who are allowed to vouch for others are only people who it's very hard for you to get vouched for. So if you are vouched for, then it's the best security measure that you can have. And you should always trust your instincts. Maybe meet up with them before you take them to your house, and if you find that you don't feel comfortable with them, you can always say no. And also, if you're surfing or hosting, you should always tell someone close to you that you'll be doing that, just in case. But out of all of my experiences, probably 30 or so experiences, I never had anything bad happen. But it only takes one time for something bad to ruin the whole experience, so just be careful. Right? So remember that couchsurfing is free. Money is never exchanged or expected to be exchanged. But it is appreciated to give a gift to your host, because you're staying at their place for free. So maybe you could buy them drinks or cook them dinner from something local from where you're from, or maybe a souvenir from your home country, or teach them a new skill. So in Mongolia, I read in the profile that they collect flags, so I brought them a Korean flag and taught him how to solve a Rubik's Cube. So I actually brought it for him, but I found out he had one already, but he didn't know how to do it, so I was able to teach him. Yep, so the most important thing to exchange is gratitude, culture, and ideas, but no money. Right, and that's it for me. Now Adam's going to talk about free art with creating gift.
Okay. Alright, hello everyone.
Hello.
I'll stand back here. My name is Adam Greenberg. Manasa 반갑습니다. I'm going to talk about creating gift. First, I'd like to show you some photos. Hi, Maria. These are some pictures that were taken at two past GIC events, last year's GIC Day and the Adios party, the farewell party for the former GIC location. What I love about these photos is that it's people of all different ages and backgrounds, different artistic abilities, family. So what I find that I like most is that this offers perspective through art. And at creating gift, my perspective is that art is a gift. And here, that's literal. So that is creating gift. So I would like you to consider this your invitation to share original art and the real gifts to be enjoyed in creating, giving, and receiving for free. And yes, shipping too. Creating Gift is an international free art forum for artists and non-artists alike, especially non-artists. So create something and gift it away for free to a total stranger, or be that stranger and enjoy some totally free art. Now why? Why might you do this? Well, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory, and to tell you about that, I want to talk about tonight's watercolor. Tonight's watercolor was my 2010 New Year's resolution to paint and give away free watercolors every day. And yes, shipping too. So this is the origin of Creating Gift. And to better talk about it, I'd like to share with you a news clip. You hit the button on that. Let's see.
Most of us have made a New Year's resolution at some point in our lives, and most of us also broke it on New Year's resolution at one time or another.
As 90s reporter Dave DeLozier tells us, one man in Denver is 3 days away now from completing a resolution that is helping people thousands of miles away.
Before this, I didn't really paint at all, since high school, really.
But on the first day of this year,
I started doing it at the beginning of the year. I wanted to draw a picture for my girlfriend.
the very next day, he painted another.
And then on the third day, I thought I just wanted to draw a pirate ship.
And in short order, a New Year's resolution was born. Every day for a year, Adam Greenberg would create a new painting.
And so I thought I could maybe do this.
He started posting each new painting on a Facebook page entitled Tonight's Watercolor. And before you know it, he had hundreds of followers.
And then I believe it was a week later when the earthquake in Haiti happened. And, you know, I'd been posting them on Facebook, and friends had been commenting, can I have this piece, or I like that one. So I was encouraged. I just thought, I'd make them available, give them away to people who donated to earthquake relief.
365 days in a year, 362 paintings. A hummingbird makes 363.
Every morning when I wake up, I never really know what I'm going to paint that night, which is pretty cool.
Some to honor people like Martin Luther King Jr., some make you think, some make you laugh.
Sometimes I'll sit here and be like, what do I want to paint?
Outside his window is a world that inspires.
And then over time, I began to see the creative benefits of doing something like this every day, making a little bit of time for yourself.
But as the time and the days left in 2010 draw to a close, so too does his resolution.
I probably won't paint every day this next year. I think my New Year's resolution for 2011 will be to take my vitamins every day.
From his window, Adam Greenberg has painted 363 days of life, 2 to go. And he's coloring a brighter future for earthquake victims along the way.
So it's cool, people are picking it up in their own way, yeah.
In Denver, this is Dave DeLozier, 9 News.
You can almost see how he, progressed even in his art over that time. Adam Greenberg's watercolors have now raised $475 for Haiti earthquake relief to this point. This story came to us through a news tip. We'd love to hear your ideas of what stories you'd like us to go check out. So share them with us at 90s.com. Click on the news tips icon.
He should have a little bit more time, because just taking a vitamin is taking a whole lot of the day versus an elaborate painting.
I
He's
feel
pretty talented.
confident that he'll take his vitamins, because if he'll sit down to watercolor 365 days,
Right.
certainly he'll take a vitamin, right?
Okay. So that was what tonight's watercolor was. That was 4 years ago, and I had been wanting to find a way to share this experience with other people. So it took me a while to formulate Create and Gift. This is probably my favorite painting that I did with tonight's watercolor. I did it on March 21st. I remember so much about this night. Pretty much all the paintings I've done, I remember what was happening in my life at that time or on that day, where I was, the people I was with. My friend Matt, I was sitting with him, I asked him, what should I paint? He said, paint a spaceship. So this is what I made. As someone who never painted before January 1st, 2010, I never considered myself an artist. So as a non-artist, it was kind of cool to me as I would send my watercolors for free to people around the country and later on to different parts of the world. People would send me photos back of what they have done with my art. So it was cool to receive some pictures framed or on a refrigerator, on a nightstand, on a wall next to some cool instruments. I think this is seeing what happens to the work you do, I think, is one of the greatest gifts that I've received. For a fish being placed in a jar, that's pretty appropriate. And so in doing that, I learned some things. I learned when to call it quits when painting. This probably took me 6 seconds to make, and I said, I'm going to stop there tonight. Sometimes you just, oh, I'm done. I don't want to add any more. Keep it simple. And I also learned that creativity comes in waves. This is a piece that I'm not particularly proud of. I don't really like this piece. In fact, of all the watercolors that I did in 2010, I could probably show you much more that I don't like than ones that I do like. Here's another one. Not my most creative, but someone else liked it, and they requested it, and I sent it to Berkeley, California, and she sent me this photo back. So I learned that everyone has different tastes, and we shouldn't prejudge our work before we've had the chance to share it with someone else. And this one, I don't know what this is. I don't really like this one. I actually posted this photo on the internet and said to the world, I will send this to you for free. Needless to say, I still have it. This one, just a black hole. Not much creativity there. But so creativity, as I learned throughout that year by making time for myself to do it, creativity comes in waves. We don't always feel inspired. Elizabeth Gilbert has an awesome TED Talk about creativity. She calls it Your Elusive Creative Genius. And it's rare today that we say someone is a genius, but we would say, oh, that person is a genius. But she tells a great story of the origin of the word genius. And it used to be not that someone is a genius, but that you have a genius. That we all have a creative spirit who is assigned to us. And sort of maybe like Dobby the house elf. They might come out when we're working on a creative project and help us. And this kept people humble. Because if your work was really amazing, well, you can't take full credit for it. And if your work was kind of terrible, well, that's okay. Everyone knew your genius was a little lame. As I watched this for the first time after I had done tonight's watercolor painting for a year, it completely resonated with me because there were many times when my creative genius did not show up, and I know that feeling. When I lived in California during that year, I would paint with neighbors and friends, and I would meet new people, I would meet friends' friends, and I would ask them one particular question. Would you like to paint with us? And I could almost always predict the answer. I've heard this response more times than I can count. Would you like to paint with us? No thanks, I can't paint. So many people say that. Some of you might be saying that to yourself right now, and I hope you're not. I would say yes, you can. You just don't do it often. Maybe ever. So you just got to do it. You just got to practice. We need to say yes to ourselves more often. Here's a fact. Humans are artists, and you're human, so you're an artist. Deal with it. Do you know who this man is? Anyone?
Picasso.
Very good, yeah. Pablo Picasso. Picasso famously said, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. And for many of us, that's unfortunately true. We've been sort of socialized out of our creativity. In fact, Sir Ken Robinson has another great TED Talk about how many of our education systems around the world kill creativity. And I think that's very unfortunate. Certainly, that's not good. Here's our world. And we have a lot of problems. We've got issues. But there are solutions. And when we have this socialized fear of art and we keep art at an arm's length, that's not conducive to creativity. And if we want to address some of the issues that we have in this world, the bridge to that is creativity. Solutions to the problems that we have will take some creativity and some other things. So remember that your art is important. You might be saying to yourself, well, who would want my art? Number one, I would say to that, you'd be surprised. Give yourself the opportunity to be surprised. Let others surprise you. And number two, gifting your art is secondary. That's why I called it create and gift. Create and gift is not about making a painting. Create and gift is first about creating a practice, an intention for creativity. And it's not about showing the world your artist self. It's about showing yourself your artist self. Young Kim is an author, Korean author. He also has a TED Talk. I like TED Talks. He talks about how you can be an artist, how we are all artists already. We just don't do it that often. So maybe you might make some art and you would log on to the Facebook page Create and Gift, which you can find through createandgift.org. And you might post a painting and you say, oh, I made this tonight. And then you're about to click post. And then you, I don't know. I don't know who wants this. And you click to leave Facebook or close it or change the website. And Facebook comes up with this, are you sure? This moment right here, when you are hesitating in your head, that's the resistance. That's resistance in our head. Anyone know who this man is?
Seth Godin.
Yeah, this is Seth Godin. If you Google the name Seth, his website is the first to come up. Seth Godin is a world-renowned author, entrepreneur, and speaker. He's been involved in some of the biggest projects. And Seth Godin talks about the resistance and the lizard brain. The lizard brain, he says, is the reason you're afraid. The reason you don't do all the art you can. The reason you don't ship when you can. The lizard brain is the source of the resistance. So what is the lizard brain? The lizard brain is that part in our species that makes us different from other animals. It's evolutionarily what we've developed from, but what might have been referred to as the sympathetic nervous system, to fight or flight, right? When we're scared of something, when we hesitate. And this is something that artists battle with, is that resistance, that fear of sharing part of yourself, expressing yourself with others. So when this moment comes up and you think, oh, I don't want to post that, that's the lizard brain. That's your lizard brain and resistance. Or when you see an attractive person and you want to talk to them, but you're scared and shy and you don't. Or when you think about giving a speech and public speaking. Like for me, my lizard brain was ringing just before this. And the resistance is a good thing. It means that we're challenging ourselves. So we should use that resistance that we feel as a compass and a tool. And if you are feeling scared or nervous about something, it means you're doing something right. So instead you should say, okay, I need to go towards that, and use it like a compass. I have a goal with Create and Gift. Here's my goal. I want to fill the wall of the Create and Gift Facebook group with amateur art. And even bad art. What might be considered bad art is good. Because what that means is that these are people who are trying and putting their art out there for the world. That's more impressive to me than someone posting something that's genuinely really awesome art. So let's take a risk together and say to the world, yes, I made this. And it might not be great by any traditional standard, and that's fine. It's my gift to one of you. And that's what's pretty great. I asked some people who were involved in the early bit of Create and Gift and who I worked with in tonight's watercolor about values that they felt were embraced. And people said that when creating, they valued setting an intention to do so, making time for ourselves, expressing their creativity, working through frustration, because it won't turn out always how you think it will in your head. So you have to let go of expectation too. Patience, flexibility, and making a practice. Joy, and appreciating art. When giving, We practice confidence, right? As an artist, giving something to someone, that takes confidence to say, oh, do they even want this? Is it good enough? Takes a bit of confidence. And non-attachment, you have to be willing to let go of your work. Generosity, of course. You're making a connection, and there's joy there. And hopefully inspiration. And you also have to remember not to take rejection personally. Maybe you've made something, but somebody doesn't want it. No, that's okay. At least you put it out there. One thing to remember with creating gift is it takes two people for that transaction. When receiving, we have to ask for what we want. So you might put something online to share it, and nobody comments on it. Nobody says they want it. Well, maybe we have to remember that the other person has to ask for what they want. It's a two-way street. Joy, gratitude, appreciating art, inspiration, motivation, and I'm sure there are some others too. So this is all free, you might be asking, including shipping? And the short answer to this is yes, but it's not completely free. We do live in a world where cash is king and money is still necessary in some ways. But the more accurate yet longer answer requires another question for us to ask ourselves. And that I would invite you to ask yourself, free for whom? Free for me, the artist? Or free for my art's recipient? Free for the person that I'm giving it to? Right? Because for one of the two people in that transaction, it is financially free. Some people have already reported that the small price of the shipping cost that they paid to send their art to someone has been well worth that cost. Knowing that they've sent their work to someone, that somebody might enjoy their art. Sometimes the recipient might share a photo of what they do with it. And I would also add that I would love to work toward producing a fund that will one day actually allow artists to send art for free around the world, completely for free. That would cover that. So how do I participate? You can go to creatinggift.org or search Facebook for Creating Gift. You can browse and request available art, or you can create and post your own art and give it away to whoever asks for it. And make a connection. So I say simply, try. Your art is important. Thank you.